I'll do that, just plain on that.
Locked, we kept all the church records here, and they broke in and just threw. The only thing they didn't destroy that we found was this movie screen here. And
It's got to be all of it. Who was it? Jackie Taylor. Who? Oh, really?
I was just wondering what kind of statement you're going to have for us this morning. Mr. Webster was telling me that you're not going to plan to take any real...
That was Eugene Webster, who is the president of the and chairman of the council of branches, could not be with us today. About 2 minutes. Voice level pretty good. Okay, I'll be able to do that. Is on the way out to Mr. Turner again, he and his wife.
David.
Oh, then you said the police say they have that affidavit. I can only
Ask you.
comment that I have a statement from the brother that
Very good.
Just appeared just shortly afterwards, though, because Labor Day now, we noticed that then because had company. I've been putting off all the relatives. They've been wanting to come down, you know, and we're waiting till the pool.
The officer fired first. And don't leave out the word I used, alleges.
And he denies that he gave the police an affidavit saying that his brother fired
His statement
first.
to us says he did not.
Are you aware that ballistics tests have shown that the same gun Turner used with the police was the gun that killed Mr. Cox last week in that armed robbery?
I'm aware of the report, but it is not our concern to verify his innocence or guilt in robberies or burglaries. Our concern is the questionable circumstances under which the man was killed.
Do you think that the low opinion in the United States generally of all armed forces is affecting Navy recruiting?
No, I don't buy the statement to begin with, Martha, because we still find that the great majority of the people in the United States know, because these armed services are made up of their sons, brothers, and fathers, and we're finding a great deal of support. But I'm saying that the support is increasing significantly in the last 6 months.
Do you yourself support the idea of all volunteer armed services?
Absolutely. As a commanding officer, I would much prefer to have an all-volunteer crew than to have part conscripts and part volunteers. You get more out of them. They know why they're there. They do it with a desire and a purpose.
Well, we'll start with the same offensive team that we started last week against Detroit. We'll make one change on defense. Charlie Waters will start at left corner in place of Herb Adderley.
Coach, is that the result, that defensive change, of a specific game or an overall review of Herb's performance so far?
No, it's an overall trend of performance. I'll never make a change on a player because of a bad game. It's made only to help our situation. We feel like in our defensive secondary that we must shake things up just a little bit. We're not making the plays back there on interceptions. Our pursuit has not been exactly what I like in this situation, so we're going to see whether or not we can improve that.
You've given up 24 points in the last 2 games. Are you implying that the secondary is responsible for that?
Well, we feel basically that any long run, not points particularly, I feel that any long run that is made in a game, the last responsibility lies with the deep backs. They must stop it. And the last 2 weeks now, we've had a run by Brown, and we've also had a short pass by Taylor that's carried all the way into the end zone. Now we're going to, of course, hopefully correct that. We feel like that it will help us if they have an opportunity to play some, both Newhouse and Montgomery. I think it will spell off Calvin and Garrison and enable them to be at full strength the whole ball game. This is what we'll do. Rogers' position is a little bit different in that right now Craig Martin is our #1 quarterback, and he's in there to win the game or lose it. And Rogers' chance of getting in the ball game right now are pretty much limited really to injury or to real success or real failure on our part, one or the other.
Casey Colmy of Dallas hired a contractor early this summer to build a swimming pool in his yard. 5 months later, the pool is still uncompleted and is cracking and leaking in several places. I asked Bob Thompson of the Better Business Bureau how the disreputable pool builder usually operates.
Well, it might be in several ways, using shoddy materials or perhaps even getting ahead, what we call where the construction is only maybe 10% complete and the contractor has 80 or 90% of the money from the individual. And then, of course, he might leave town or simply not complete the job.
What advice does the Better Business Bureau give to a prospective pool buyer?
Well, we say first check out the reputability of the firm. We can, of course, help with that angle. Check with the bank that the contractor deals with for his financial responsibility. Require a performance, completion, and payment bond from the contractor. And when the job is completed and you've paid the contractor, require a notarized lien release, which ensures that your property will be released from the lien on it.
The Greater Dallas chapter of the National Swimming Pool Institute does offer this help to the prospective pool buyer. The Institute will provide you with names of reputable pool builders within our city. Write the Greater Dallas chapter of the National Swimming Pool Institute at Box 35663, Dallas, for further information. If you have any problems or questions, please write me at Contact 8, Communications Center, Dallas. That's Contact 8. I'm Cecile Burant.
Our large group, due to the fact that it is 2 years in time, a group that comes in September graduates in August 2 years later. So August is our biggest time. This year we'll probably graduate some 100 to 125 students in the automotive program alone.
Gene Maurice is talking about a training program in the state for auto mechanics. Is that a serious lack in the automobile dealer business?
Yes, Jerry, it certainly is. We have a great many qualified mechanics in the state of Texas, but one of our great problems in getting not only adequate service for the consumer, but in getting prompt service is that there is a shortage of qualified mechanics in many areas. Maurice Fawcett, who's speaking now, is with the Texas State Institute in Waco, Technical Institute in Waco. It's a very exciting program that the automobile dealers are interested in because we've found in the short time that they have had the auto training program in Waco and on their other campuses that they have turned out a very superior mechanic who is well qualified and who is a fine asset not only to the industry but to the community in which he's gone to work. We're very excited about this aspect of improving and enlarging mechanics training in the state of Texas.
President Nixon will have a sweeping victory over Senator George McGovern in the elections next Tuesday. This prediction was told to me this morning at a news conference by prophetess Jean Dixon. Mrs. Dixon is in Dallas to do a benefit luncheon for the Northwood Institute in Cedar Hill in southwest Dallas County. Mrs. Dixon, who says she has no political axe to grind, not only forecast Nixon's victory, but also told me that one-time vice presidential candidate, Senator Thomas Eagleton, will someday run for the presidency in spite of a background of psychiatric treatment.
A loss sometimes is a blessing in disguise, as I said about Senator Eagleton. Why, he felt terrible, and the people, he was so upset. So I sent him a telegram. I says, please, Mr. Senator, do not get upset at all. This is a blessing in disguise. Senator McGovern has opened the magic door for you. You will one day rise above your present peers, and then you will run for the presidency of the United States.
Mrs. Dixon, will the peace negotiations now going on in Vietnam be fruitful?
We're going to have negotiated peace, and with honor. Now remember, if we would have a united America, we could even have a better negotiations.
She said the peace will be negotiated before the elections, but that some United States prisoners of war will remain in North Vietnam as the price America must pay for its involvement in the war. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is June Gray.
Dallas's NAACP says it's not out to make trouble, but it is out to get some answers about the police slaying of an armed robbery suspect this week. 20-year-old Larry Turner was killed in an Oak Cliff gun battle with police Monday, the third police killing in 3 weeks. The police say they've got an affidavit from Turner's brother swearing that Turner shot at them first. But NAACP Director Richard Dockery claims that the brother gave him an affidavit that alleges police fired first. Police investigators have said that bullets from Turner's .25 caliber pistol matched slugs found where auto parts dealer Ivy Cox was slain. So the NAACP, along with the police department and the Community Relations Commission, is going to investigate whether policemen have needed to kill in self-defense or whether the killings were really unjustified.
At the same time that the NAACP is taking a somewhat no-action investigative stand, the powerful Southern Leadership Conference is boycotting white businesses here at the Lancaster Key Shopping Center. The SCLC wants to shut down 30 white-owned businesses that they say serve blacks but won't hire them. On the other hand, the NAACP is staying out of it. Try to put in more black businesses, they say, instead of trying to ruin a shopping center that serves blacks. Martha McIntyre, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Griffith. $34.01.
Contrary to the information that is widely believed at this point, Chief Fulgham was involved in no act that would be considered an immoral act at that residence. He had been drinking by his own admission. However, there are extenuating circumstances which may have attributed to his condition that night at the residence.
It is the duty of the City Council to determine a rate which yields a fair return and not more than a fair return upon the property that is used and useful in the public service, keeping in mind the need of the individual customer and the rate that he must pay, and the need of the utility company to serve the public and to attract capital.
Now, we're prepared to go ahead and talk about the Martin Lake subject specifically, which
we envision will be worth the effort.
It's very clear, I hope, that there is no direct relationship that if you build a power plant, you do have to raise rates, because this is not the situation. Between now and 1977, many things could happen.
The results of this in Texas are going to be that the State Highway Department will run out of funds in January and will not be able to award any more highway contracts. So the court order asked that immediately after the Congress goes into session that the Federal Aid Highway Act be passed so that at least the Texas Highway Department can begin operations or continue their operations.
They don't keep their book like they do here in the county. One juggle each other. There's no real way of telling how much they got approved. We'll be working with it because there's some $5 billion, it's been frozen in federal. This is about a matter of continuing to have trouble. This is why I like to
Go to the regular session in January. And ask them in that resolution to
I don't know how they trust fund money.
Thank you, Spresser. Thank you very much, Spresser. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you very much. The goals. That's really what it's all about. Governor Reagan of California pointed
I'd like to call on him at this time to present the Governor of the State of Texas, the Honorable Preston Smith. Governor Smith.
I'd like at this time to
in my opinion, the last ever to be constructed. Texas. Now, don't misunderstand my statement.
Please, at this time.
Telephone service. We cannot afford to jeopardize the effectiveness of that service, but consumer interest research and on other expert input to which we have access. At all times, our purpose is to get to
Oh, I think a great deal was, Jim. I think there's an awful lot of concern among the consumer groups that have come before us and among the members of the council as to why utility rates have risen so drastically, and the fact that the citizens of Dallas can't stand for any more rate increases, and what we as a council can do to bring about economies and do what we can to see that rates don't rise any further.
It was the first time I've ever had an encyclopedia, if you believe that, since I've been a kid.
They're in there somewhere. There's one back here.
Ain't no pictures. I ain't seen
I got some.
I certainly do. I am a strong enthusiast for a so-called common ticker or composite tape. I believe it's going to give our exchange a fair shot at competing with our New York colleagues, and I think we're going to win that game, and it's going to be a new market system in this country.
Have you ever felt there was a monopoly operating in New York?
Something very close to it, very frankly.
Now I ask you, if you were told this story was about ecology, would you believe it? Me too. But it is, as I learned when this deep, resonant voice boomed in my ear.
Third award is the grand prize winner, and this is to R.T. Ezel, Jr. R.T., I hope you're here. Here he comes right here. Congratulations to you very much.
Well, we took it over on the Mosier Valley Road, about a mile north of the Trinity River, and it's down 157. It's kind of north of here, and it's really terrible, the waste and stuff that people throw out over there, just trash.
And now, sports fans, an instant replay, courtesy of Vern Lundquist in the Channel 8 Sports Department. Just seemed like you should meet 20-year-old Jan Kirby, Vern's candidate for UTA Homecoming Queen. Thanks, ma'am. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News, reporting.
Well, I've been involved in this campaign not only with the Sanders, but I have come out and said that I'm a full-time Democrat and that I support the Democratic platform all the way. But on a specific door-to-door bell-ringing, hand-shaking type of campaign, this is the only one I've been involved in, simply because there's just so much time that one has, and I feel that I wanted to concentrate it for a cause that I felt was extremely important and one that I had a tremendous personal relationship to.
Educational spending is the finest investment we can make if we're getting our money's worth. But I can assure you that we're not getting our money's worth. There's a court decision in San Antonio in a federal court concerning educational spending that's going to force us to do something we should have done a long time ago on our own, and that is to reform the method by which state funds are allocated to the independent school districts. It may not be the final answer, but I think we need to give it a try, and certainly if I'm elected governor, I will. Now, a lot of people raise the question in the area of the so-called aid to families with dependent. I've met them in groups this size and smaller and larger, and my confidence is ever restored.
We called around the country trying to locate Allen Roberts and Associates of Atlanta. We investigated and inquired of the Atlanta Constitution. We tried to find the name of the firm in the telephone directory. We ran through a check on Dun and Bradstreet, and we were unable to come up either with the firm or of any man by that name who had run such a poll. Therefore, our only conclusion must be that my opponent is a very desperate man.
Our poll was conducted by an independent polling operation out of Atlanta, Georgia. We furnished the media with the name, the address, the telephone number. He gave them the information they desired. We feel the poll was very accurate in its return, showing us with 56% of the vote, my opponent with 30%, and the remaining undecided being 14%. I certainly don't consider myself to be a desperate young man maybe, but I'm not desperate.
As is fitting and proper for such an occasion, there were dignitaries by the dozen, and as one might expect, they all began their speeches with utterances of mild amazement at the loveliness of the day. Never one to make unduly spectacular arrivals, Governor Preston Smith was already there when we arrived to begin setting up our cameras. He was introduced to the crowd by Master of Ceremonies Tom Law.
The Fort Worth State School for the Mentally Retarded is needed. We know this. And this school will be built.
Dr. David Wade, Commissioner of Mental Health for the state, was also on hand today. He called the effort a momentous landmark.
And what better place than Fort Worth to begin anew? What better place than Fort Worth, where the West begins, to open the doors to a new frontier in the delivery of services to those in need.
Half a dozen shovels were passed around then. I think I should tell you they saved themselves the potential embarrassment of not being able to manipulate the shovels by playing in a symbolic sand pile. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News, reporting.
I can tell you that we did receive over 35 applications, some from newsmen, some from season ticket customers, some from potential season ticket customers. Most of the former managers made application. A good number of major league coaches, minor league managers, and I'm satisfied that after personally interviewing with Joe Burke almost 30 of these people, some just by telephone, but most of them in person, that the selection that we made yesterday, which was selection day, of Mr. Herzog, is the best possible thing that we could have done.
I read the stories too yesterday. In fact, when Mr. Short had called me, I was down in Florida with the Mets Instruction League team, and I was driving to the ballpark over to Al Lang Field to play, and I heard that Hauser had been named manager. And then when Short called, I thought he was calling me to tell me he had made his choice, and I said, well, you named Hauser, and it's fine. I think you made a good choice. And he said, no. He said, there's nothing to that. And so really, I'm kind of happy to be here.
What time of the day, Whitey, was it that you first were informed?
Well, Bob Short called me yesterday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And he got back to me, we talked a half hour, and I think he got back to me about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And then I caught a plane yesterday evening out of Tampa.
So you were in town last night, I guess?
Yes, I was here last night. I came in on Braniff, and I was an hour late, and nothing against Braniff Airlines, but we left Florida. The plane was held up in Miami, and I got in here about 45 minutes late.
You got to ask, you had a very secure job, it would seem, with the Mets. You're coming with an organization that is new to the area, that was unsuccessful last year, both on the field and drawing fans. Why do you want it?
Well, I want to manage, or I wouldn't be here. I feel that if I do lose my job as a manager this year, next year, or 5 years from now, that I can always go back to doing what I was doing.
Well, it's just kind of a television first, Vern. You're the first one, I think, that's ever interviewed a guy that's ever got the MVP as far as the offensive linemen are concerned. I'm kind of surprised myself, so it's an honor that I really do look back on and say, well, that was last week's game. I just hope we can repeat again this week as far as the team is concerned, go out and win. Whether or not the honor is bestowed upon a lineman or anyone, I just think it's a team effort.
I got to tell you, though, most times you guys are ignored by the media, by the fans.
You noticed that.
I noticed it. You darn right. But, Monday night, you couldn't help but notice the great protection on the passing and the great run blocking that was going on.
Well, again, Vern, as I said, it's a team effort. They singled me out as... it's a nice honor, as I say, but I think you got 5 men as far as the offensive line is concerned, 6 including the tight ends, who are very important to blocking too, that did a marvelous job. And I think that this is a tribute that should really be, I think, associated with the offensive line rather than one individual.
Well, I certainly want to compliment the University of Texas and their football team. They have a fabulous rushing game. Anyone that can rush right at 400 yards against Arkansas and nearly 460 against Rice has to be executing as well as any team, college or pro, in the nation. And we do have a good defensive football team at SMU. We have an excellent linebacker in Leonard Carey, and I do think that we will present a much tougher defense for Texas to run against than, say, in the past 2 weeks.
Coach, you've been installed early in the week as a 16-point underdog. Is that a fair assessment of the two ball clubs?
Well, I would say actually 16-point underdog University of Texas, based on the last 2 ball games and the way they've really manhandled Arkansas and Rice, is a real compliment to SMU, particularly since we play the game in Austin. The football team at SMU has a great respect for the University of Texas because Texas deserves this respect, but our team doesn't fear Texas. We feel that with an outstanding game by our football team and Texas helping us a little bit, we could win the ball game. And I think every team that Texas plays this year is going to have that opportunity or that feeling, the feeling that they could win the ball game.